I didn't think I'd ever introduce a panel session quite like this, but I think not only is it germane to what's happening and the world that we're living in today, but I think it's a good opportunity to remind ourselves that it's not just the morning or afternoon commute that's creating some challenges. So for our session this morning, I'd like to invite Ali Sewell, the Director of Public Affairs for Brightline, Jorge Pesquera, and Tom Bradford to the stage, please. Give them a round of applause. So Ali Sewell, good morning Ali, is the Director of Public Affairs for Brightline, and she is responsible for leading and developing the strategy for the day-to-day government, media, and community relations efforts. She has nearly a decade of experience managing public outreach efforts for rail and transit projects, specifically for South Florida. Jorge Pesquera is the CEO of Discover the Palm Beaches, a 35-year travel and tourism industry veteran. Jorge joined Discover the Palm Beaches, formerly known as the County CVB, in 2007 to lead the region's destination marketing organization with a staff of 45 and a budget of $15 million annually. In 2016, he attained the Certified Destination Marketing Executive designation after completing rigorous educational requirements. Jorge holds his administration degree from Cornell and has had executive positions with Hilton International, Conrad Hotels in London and Beverly Hills. I wish I could say that. And finally, Mr. Bradford, thank you for joining us. The new town manager. How long have you been with the town now? 6 months?
No, town manager for 2.5 years.
Oh, forgive me.
17 years as assistant and deputy town.
Got it. My bad. Excuse me. So Mr. Bradford was appointed, here it is, in 2015. From 1982 until 1986, Mr. Bradford worked for the town, achieving the position of assistant town manager, and in 2000, Mr. Bradford was hired as assistant town manager. For 14 years, from 1986 to 2000, Mr. Bradford served as village manager of Tequesta. Mr. Bradford began his 30-year career in city management with the city of West Palm Beach back in 1982. So some of those slides may have probably looked familiar to you. So as I mentioned, this session, and this will be the format. We'll ask each of the presenters to make a few comments, 5 minutes or so, about the topic in general. I know that Ali has a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll go through those slides for you when you're ready. But this discussion is, as I said, meant to talk about those sort of external or extraneous factors that are creating some of the additional congestion in town. We've heard a little bit about Brightline already. The bridge. I only learned recently that it's the Coast Guard that manages the bridge and the operations of the bridge. And so no jurisdiction really has control over that. And also as a regional destination, if not a national destination for tourism. We'll hear from Jorge on some of those. So, Ali, I've got you queued up first if you'd like to go ahead and get started. Sorry it's hard to see the slides, but I will click them from here. Okay.
Great. So good morning, and thank you very much to Commissioner Materio for inviting me, to Commissioner Bernard, and to Mayor Niglio for hosting this event. Brightline, we are happy to be at the table to discuss transportation and transportation solutions, because we absolutely think that we are a big piece of that puzzle. So for those of you who don't know what Brightline is, we are the only privately funded express intercity passenger rail system in the country. So our phase 1 will connect South Florida, which are the downtowns of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. So you can go between downtown Miami and West Palm Beach in just about an hour, and then West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale in just about 30 minutes. So I live in downtown Miami, and this morning it took me about an hour and 45 minutes to get here. So from just a business and a leisure perspective, we really believe that this new passenger rail system will change the way that people travel today. We are also developing real estate around each of our stations. which also makes us unique because we are the first company in the country to do so. So not only are we developing the transportation system, but we are developing smart centers around where those trains will go. Miami, of course, and I'll show you a picture in a couple of slides, is very significant. It's about 3 million square feet as compared to what we're doing in downtown West Palm Beach, which is a residential unit, just apartments, with 290 units. And all of this aligns with two emerging trends that we are seeing, which is more people are moving to the urban cores. More people want to live within walking distances of their work, of places where they go for entertainment. Their places that they interact with on a daily occurrence. And then more people are taking public transportation and relying less on their car when they have the ability to do so. Millennials, baby boomers, those are the growing groups that would like to jump on a train or jump on another form of transportation where they can plug in and connect, and Brightline will definitely offer that. So new trains for a new experience. Our trains for phase 1 are about 500 feet long, which makes them very similar in length to a tri-rail train. So FEC operates about 14 to 15 freight trains a day on the corridor. Those trains can be up to 2 miles long. That's about as long as they can go because they are limited by the yards in which they pull in and out and actually load the cars onto the trains. So what you see today will probably be the standard, and the same thing with Brightline. So our trains are 500 feet. They will move in average speed between Miami and West Palm Beach at about 79 miles an hour. Coming into downtown West Palm Beach and then leaving the station, they will operate anywhere between 20 and 40 miles an hour. And so what does that mean when you approach a Brightline train at a grade crossing? So the amount of time it takes for the grade crossing to go down, for the train to pass, and for the gate to go back up is less than a minute. It's about 45 to 55 seconds, and that's based on a number of reasons. The first is we've actually invested more than $1 billion in phase 1 of our program to update and to modernize the Florida East Coast Railway corridor. That includes new signalization throughout the entirety of the railroad between Miami and West Palm Beach. That will extend to Cocoa and all the way to Orlando when we construct phase 2. We partnered with the Palm Beach MPO to upgrade the grade crossings to meet quiet zones. I know that many people live within close distance of the FEC and you hear the freight trains sounding their horns when they approach at grade crossings. That is a federal requirement, and so we worked with the MPO and each of the cities along the corridor and the county so that when we begin service in a couple of months, quiet zones will be operational, and that means neither the freight nor the passenger trains will be required to blow their horns as they approach the crossings, unless there's an emergency, there's someone on the tracks, or there's an instance where the conductor has the ability to do so. So just to go through some quick progress shots. Not sure how many of you have been down to downtown Miami recently and seen Miami Central. As I mentioned, this is our downtown hub. We chose all of our station locations because we wanted to provide them in close proximity to what each of the downtowns have to offer, and also to tie into the existing and future transportation systems that exist. So in downtown Miami, we connect to Metro Rail, which is the elevated heavy rail system that goes south to Dadeland, connects directly to the airport, goes to Coral Gables. Metro Mover, the elevated system which connects to the financial district, the performing arts district, the new science centers that were just built in downtown Miami. It will also connect directly with Tri-Rail. So there's been a lot of talk today about Tri-Rail coastally wanting to come onto the Florida East Coast Railway corridor. Downtown Miami, Miami-Dade County, the city, and several other funding agencies recognize the importance of connecting the existing Tri-Rail system to downtown Miami. Our station is elevated, so the time to do this was before we finished construction. So they all got together and found the funds needed to connect the existing system into downtown, which is pretty significant for not only Miami-Dade, but for Broward and Palm Beach, because it means people in Boynton, people in Delray, people in Hollywood now have a one-seat ride into downtown Miami, where they can either go for employment opportunities and also entertainment opportunities and vice versa. It is also significant for people in downtown Miami because they have the same ability to travel in and out of the region. Next slide. Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is almost done. We are putting finishing touches on the inside of the station, the same thing as in West Palm Beach. So this station is located just north of Broward Boulevard. It is steps away from the federal courthouse, from the county government center, from the city hall. It is a few blocks away from Las Olas, the Performing Arts District, as well as the multiple art and science museums that are located downtown. It ties in with the bus system, with the future Wave streetcar, and with the existing trolley system that exists, not to mention bike share. And then I'm sure everyone in here has seen the exterior of our West Palm Beach station, so I wanted to provide some interior shots. Again, we are putting the finishing touches on Brightline in West Palm Beach. The station should be completed within the next couple of weeks, and then it will be used to train our employees, our teammates, who will be coming on as they start to welcome guests, like I mentioned, in a couple of weeks. Here, we tie in with the downtown trolley system. We are going to have a bike share facility in front of our station, and we are also a few blocks away from the existing tri-rail corridor, not to mention steps away from where we are now, including with the government centers that exist within the downtown. Next slide. And then there's also a lot of discussion about safety as it relates to the operations of Brightline on the FEC corridor. So safety is our company's top priority for our guests, for those who are working for us, for those who are interacting with the Florida East Coast Railway, which is why we have done and have a multifaceted approach. Some things that you may see and experience, other things that you may not see and never see, because that's part of our plan to implement the safest system possible. So we are installing positive train control, which is a program, it's an overriding program, so a train comes into a speed area that it is supposed to be going 30 miles an hour and the train is going 60 miles an hour, the electronic system will actually override and slow the train down. We will have that in place. We already have the first components of the system installed at Workshop, which is about a mile north of here. We're testing that on the 4 train sets that are in downtown. I mentioned the new signalization, the upgraded grade crossings. We also have a safety and security department that is led by former railroad law enforcement officials. And then Operation Lifesaver. So Operation Lifesaver is a national program that focuses on raising awareness about rail safety. We partnered with the Palm Beach County School District and sent more than 42,000 pieces of direct mail to homes of people living along the corridor. They were sent in their preferred language, so English, Spanish, and Creole. All of our materials were developed in those 3 languages, plus Portuguese, to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our diverse population and educating people about this important issue. And this is something that I would encourage everyone in here, if you have a group that would benefit from a rail safety presentation. More than 30 Brightline employees are actually authorized volunteers, and so we are out in the community trying to make presentations in advance to launching service.
Great. Thank you very much. I must just say, as a native of Miami, and I used to be a lonely passenger on what they called Metro Fail back then. It's going to college. It's really amazing to see how it's become part of a very robust mass transit system, and it takes time. So thank you very much for that insight. Next we have Jorge. Mosqueda, can you tell us how great we are? Here's a destination.
Is this working, or do I have to turn it on?
Testing.
Oh, here we go. Okay. We're really great. First of all, I want to say congratulations and thanks to Mayor Coniglio and Commissioners Materio and Commissioner Mack for putting this together. You know, I am a proud resident of West Palm Beach. I live in the South End, so Commissioner Materio is my commissioner. And for the last 4 years, I've had the pleasure of driving the intersection of Parker and Okeechobee, or Dixie and Okeechobee, taking my daughter to the Dreyfus School of the Arts. It's a miracle that I'm here because she just graduated on Friday, and I have 10 relatives from Puerto Rico descend on me over the weekend. So that has been quite a chore on its own right. But we're the good news people here in terms of tourism. And I know that Virginia is probably going to be sharing some key achievements as it pertains to the convention center and convention production. I'm just giving you kind of an overview of how we've progressed over the last several years, and it's been quite dramatic. You know, growth in visitors, growth in occupancy, growth in terms of overall tourism performance has been very, very positive. And let me just say that some of this is not just by accident. There's been a number of things that have been put in place in order for this to happen. First, we developed what is called a brand strategy. We really thought through, we did an assessment, and we thought through how do we really communicate the attributes of this great landmass called Palm Beach County to the world in a way that would resonate to those audiences. So we've gone from you know, communicating in a certain way to an invitation to come and discover the Palm Beaches, which is the best way to experience Florida. Because there's no other region in the entire state of Florida that has more best-in-class experiences to offer travelers than Palm Beach County. We also rebuilt a DMO team, a Destination Marketing Organization. That's a new term for a CVB. We've been known as the Convention Visitors Bureau. It's kind of the old term for what we do. We're really the destination marketing and destination management business. And we brought expertise into the DMO to deliver these kinds of messages and experiences in a way that really attract and inspire people to visit here. And third, I think this is most important, we established a community engagement strategy. It can't be just the DMO, the team at the Destination Marketing Organization, Discover the Palm Beaches, delivering this effort. It takes a collaboration with the cities, with the partners, with the hotels, the attractions, the restaurants, and all the folks that have anything to do with hospitality or even related to the hospitality industry in order to succeed in this business of tourism marketing and attracting visitors. So those are three of the key elements that really have made us successful. So I do have slides. I didn't know I could show them, so I promise if anybody wants my slides, I can give it to you. But from 2010, we had 4.4 million visitors. And this past year, we ended with 7.4 million visitors. That's a 3 million visitor increase, or 41% increase in visitors since 2010, which is pretty significant. Where do these people come from? Well, from a global perspective, our domestic visitation is the number one. 55% of our visitors come from all the other 49 states. In-state visitation is very important, particularly during the summer and fall months. That's 32%, and international visitors are 13%. From a domestic perspective, the New York tri-state area is by far the most important market for us, at 23%. Followed closely by a cluster of different cities, Washington and Baltimore, 7%, Boston, 5%, Chicago, 5%, Atlanta, and so on down the line. Within the state of Florida, Miami and Fort Lauderdale, believe it or not, that's why, you know, Bright Line is very important, comprise 35% of in-state visitors to Palm Beach County, followed by Orlando at 19%, Tampa, the counties to the north of us, and so on. In-state visitation is very, very important for us to create what we are trying to do here, which is our vision, is to create an endless season. We have a peak season, we have an off-season. We want to eliminate the off-season and create the endless season. International markets, the Canadians are by far the number one market, 46%, with Brazil, the UK, Argentina coming close second and third, and so forth. And what's called metropolitan statistical areas, the top 3 or 4, New York again, 14%, Miami, Fort Lauderdale is 10%, Orlando 7%, the Canadians, particularly Toronto, Montreal 4%, DC, Baltimore, and so on. What cities are visited most in Palm Beach County? Well, happy to report that West Palm Beach is number one, but I have to tell you that Boca Raton is close second. In terms of the numbers that I have here, 51%, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton 44, and many of you have seen the types of developments taking place nearby the Boca Raton Resort and Club, which is creating a real citywide type of opportunity in Boca. Historically, we have, in terms of hotel occupancy, we've gone from a low of 56.6% occupancy in 2009. That was a really, really bad year. And in 2015, we went to 73% countywide. Last year, we were just slightly lower at 72.3 because of additional inventory. Hotel inventory, this is an interesting little factoid which a lot of people don't know about. Back in 2006, we had the lowest room inventory in Palm Beach County's history in terms of recent history, with 15,500 rooms. This year that we just ended, we had about 17,000 and change, and over the next couple of years, we're going to get to 17,600 or 18, and I think we have a future pipeline that is of another couple of thousand rooms. However, we are still not at the level of room inventory that Palm Beach County had a generation ago in 1990. Think about that for a second. Back in those days, there were lots of hotels on Singer Island, lots of hotels on Dixie Corridor. Most of those have been torn down and replaced by condominiums and residential development. So we have a lot of opportunity to grow the tourism economy in Palm Beach County. Hotel performance, very quickly. This past year, as I mentioned, we finished at 72.6%. And important for this discussion, the downtown Palm Beach Airport corridor, which is what we call a cluster of downtown on the airport, ran a 77% occupancy, so about almost 5 points ahead of the rest of the county. Downtown has grown its room inventory in recent years, but there's still a lot of potential to grow. The first hotel to be built in over 30 years in West Palm Beach was a Hyatt here on Lakewood, and that was by accident in a way. And the Hilton West Palm Beach, which is a great addition to our inventory here and has allowed us to triple the number of convention bookings that we've made, is just tremendous. So let me jump from there to downtown West Palm Beach, because this is really important, because it talks about the traffic and the flow of people coming around the downtown area. In the last 3 years, we have run an occupancy in the downtown cluster of 80%, 79%, and 77%. 77 again because we added a lot of rooms in the last year. This past quarter, the first quarter of 2017, Palm Beach County in its totality, from Jupiter to Boca, ran a 79.6% occupancy. And in spite of the Hilton West Palm Beach being here, downtown ran a 90.2% occupancy. So downtown is doing really, really well, and there's opportunities for further growth in downtown West Palm Beach. So let me finish with, all of these things are good news, obviously, but we do have a challenge in terms of the convention district, what we call the Convention Arts and Entertainment District, because I know that the Cultural Council has collaborated with the City of West Palm Beach in creating an arts and entertainment district, so we kind of group all that together. But we do have challenges with meeting planners tell us it is tough to get from the convention center to the other side of the street here. And so some people actually think about booking here a couple of times. They think about it twice because there is a challenge going over 11 lanes of traffic. So we need a bold vision, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm sure that with this group here, some solutions will come about and some discussions will be required. Mobility is considered one of the 20 key attributes for a city or a region to be successful in tourism. There's something called Destination Next. It is a platform used by progressive destination marketing organizations to develop a blueprint for the future excellence of the destination, and it has 20 attributes about destination strength and community engagement. And mobility is one of those attributes to be successful. With that, Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jorge. That was excellent. Mr. Bradford, can you tell us what's happening on the town of Palm Beach and the perspective that you have today, how it's different than maybe it was a year or so ago?
Thank you, Dana. And good morning to everyone. Appreciate you being here. As you know, I do work for the town of Palm Beach, and the town of Palm Beach does have concerns about some of the things that you've heard today. And to preface my comments, if I did not address some of those concerns, it would not be fair to the residents that are here today and those that I work for, as well as to help you understand the impacts of President Trump and the bridges on the transportation network. First of all, the town of Palm Beach considers itself to be the original walkability and livability community of this region. We are very proud of the walkability and the scale that we have in what we call Midtown, which is from Wells Road to Gulfstream Road. And we think it's a planner's dream that which we have in Palm Beach. So I say that to let you know that we understand what it is that the city of West Palm Beach is attempting to accomplish. However, we do have some problems with it. In my opinion, I think the former Mayor Graham touched on it. I think the scale and the resulting density is not in keeping with the original vision that the city laid out, and that obviously has a negative impact on traffic. The walkability aspect of Palm Beach is very important, and George, of course, talked about all of those different transportation issues that we are also concerned about in Palm Beach. But let me just say this to you. Our analysis shows that all of the development that is in the West Palm Beach pipeline will add over 74,000 vehicular trips per day within what I call the city center. And that in and of itself is concerning, but meanwhile, the city wishes to reduce the capacity on South Dixie Highway and also reduce the capacity of Broadway, which just doesn't seem to make sense in regard to transportation needs of the region. So we're concerned about scale, density, and traffic, and so I want to keep that on the forefront. Internally, we call the impact of the president the Trump effect relative to the town of Palm Beach. What happens when the president is in town is that South Ocean Boulevard is closed to northbound traffic at Mar-a-Lago, and the traffic can only, South Ocean Boulevard is closed at the intersection of South County Road and South Ocean Boulevard. So it creates problems. All northbound traffic has to be diverted to West Palm Beach. Most take the route to Flagler, and then they get back onto the island at the Royal Park or the Middle Bridge. That has exacerbated our problems in Midtown and elsewhere. At first, it created a real problem. We tried staggering the work hours of landscapers and others, and it did help to some degree, but we found that most people have self-regulated their activities, and now with the help of the police department and their plans that they've implemented, we think we've got it to the point when President Trump is in town that it is manageable. It's not ideal, but it is manageable. Relative to bridges, it's a constant issue with the town of Palm Beach. It's part of our life, the coming and going from the island. The new Flagler Memorial Bridge has gone on for 4 or 5 years now, and it has been delayed a number of times. It is now scheduled to open, hopefully, at the end of this month. But it still won't be perfect. With the landings at both West Palm and Palm Beach need to be addressed. And then, of course, it's different now with the new bridge at the West Palm Beach side. You have 3 traffic lights you have to go through now, all of which did not exist previously, which could impact the speed with which you get over the bridge. As has been stated previously, the Coast Guard does control the bridge openings. They are fortunately working with the town. So, for example, when the president is in town, they limit the Flagler Bridge to only opening once per hour. However, that can be modified based upon the needs of the contractor that's working on the bridge. So if there's things that they need to do to move equipment or to do this, that, and the other, they have the right to open that bridge on demand, which is happening hopefully at a faster pace now in order to complete this thing by the end of June if they stay on schedule. So I guess in summary, those are the concerns we have about the scale, the impact of the development that has not yet been felt upon the streets of West Palm and Palm Beach County. And but we do want to work with the city and we work with the county and the state to make it manageable and to be a successful transportation network. And with that, I think I'll stop and turn it back over to Dana.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, I know that the city is undergoing a multimodal study for downtown as well as a detailed Okeechobee corridor study. It'd be interesting to see what relief ultimately is provided with the North Bridge. Is at full capacity and it feels comfortable to drive across? I know you can now, but it doesn't feel so good. Ali, if I may come back to you real quick. Can you tell us a bit more about the Brightline service offerings? Like when will the trains run? How many folks can be on the train? Is there any discussion yet about what the fee structure might be, the fare structure?
Number one question, I guess.
Number one question.
Just to start, Brightline is in the process of testing. I mentioned we have 4 out of 5 train sets currently into West Palm Beach. They have to go a rigorous amount of tests that are required by the Federal Railroad Administration, which they are doing right now. So we are planning to launch introductory service between West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale later this summer, and then a grand opening to Miami in the fall. So we still hope to work with Discover the Palm Beaches to capture some of those Broward and Dade residents to come up and spend the last couple of summer months up here. So Brightline will begin operations in the early morning. It's probably looking like around 6 a.m. or so. We're still finalizing that exact schedule. And then the last train will come back in the evening hours, so we are not operating 24-hour service. And I say late evening hours because if we are working with our favorite South Florida sports team that plays at the American Airlines Arena, that train is not going to leave the station and head north until that game is over and the passengers are on. So there's a little bit of flexibility as it relates with the service offering that we will have. We are working through our pricing structure. We will release that with our mobile application, which will be right before we launch service. Pricing will be comparable with driving your car when you take into account tolls, parking, all that fun add-ons that you have, necessary add-ons. We will offer yearly passes, monthly passes, weekly passes, and weekend passes. So there will be different ways that you can purchase a ticket. And we're also working with corporations up and down the corridor. If any of you in here are lawyers, I'm sure you would not be surprised that we've received a lot of interest from the law firms that have offices in the 3 cities on which our corridor operates. People are very excited about the chance to have their colleagues travel between those areas and work while they're on the train rather than sitting in traffic. And Jorge mentioned working together on the visit approach, but but it's also from a living approach. So Brightline also represents another opportunity for people who may have a job in Miami, but don't necessarily want to live in the big congested city that we all know and love Miami to be. Brightline gives them the opportunity to live in Broward or to live in West Palm Beach and to travel back and forth without needing a car and putting those additional cars on Okeechobee.
Great, thank you. If I may just quickly introduce City of West Palm Beach Commissioner Keith James. Thank you for being here. Jorge, real quickly, do you see any future changes or trends in visitor mobility? You mentioned mobility. And for any of us who've traveled somewhere and you'd rather not have your car, but you want to get to destinations while you're visiting a town or city, what are some of the emerging trends and how you think they may apply here to West Palm Beach in terms of visitor mobility?
Well, you know, I think that the Brightline is certainly one of the things that our European and Latin American visitors would welcome in a big way. Europeans are used to rail travel. You know, if you put it in perspective, you know, Orlando is the single biggest vacation destination in the United States. It is 40% of the total tourism of the state of Florida. It gets 60 million visitors a year. Miami, on the other hand, is the undisputed international gateway to the state of Florida. I believe they have 100 different airlines going through Turkey, you name it, all over the world. So putting us in touch with these two, we're the ham and the sandwich here. We're between Miami and Orlando, 2 hours to Orlando, 1 hour to Miami. And again, I haven't lived in the UK for a little bit. Everybody goes to Orlando to see Universal and Disney, and the Latin Americans are all flying to Miami. So there's great opportunity there. Second, I think that what the city has done in terms of the bicycle racks and that service is tremendous. I think people love that kind of stuff. In a city that is relatively compact, where you can go on a waterfront stroll for a little bit of time and get from point A to point B relatively easily. I see it in London, I see it in Miami, I see it in everywhere. I mean, bicycles are great, and those things are going to be important in the future to attract visitors here. I'm still concerned about the crossing from here to city.
Sure, thank you. I've actually heard recently that a sky bike, a West Palm Beach sky bike, was spotted in South Beach. Now, I won't tell you who took the bike down there because they can get in spotted trouble, but, you know, their tire blew, and so they got a bike, and they put it on tri-rail, and next thing you knew, they were in South Beach.
I was going to say Brightline had no
yeah,
involvement in the movement of that sky bike.
Not at all. But it was returned safely. So, Mr. Bradford, I just have one quick question for you. Do you think that there are ways, understanding that there are, hopefully not insurmountable, but certainly a steep challenge to these vehicular congestion issues, particularly at the foot of the bridge, coming in and out of town from the island. But understanding the volume of visitors and residents that are here, do you see better ways for connectivity between the town of Palm Beach and downtown West Palm that are not motorized? Say trolleys, or I know the sky bikes, I see sky bikes going back and forth all the time. What are your thoughts about that, and what does your council think about how we can better connect our two cities?
Well, I think long term we're going to have some sort of mass transit that helps deal with these transportation issues. I personally prefer light rail. I think the key in Palm Beach is a system that our residents would use at least from time to time. I don't think that they are particularly excited by the trolleys that are driving around with the windows open and, you know, the air conditioning not really doing its job. But I think long term that something like that's got to happen in order to increase the connectivity between the commercial areas in Palm Beach and West Palm Beach. But the key is, or there's two keys. One is who's going to pay for it is number one. And number two, I, in my thinking about it over the years, have thought, what system is most likely to be accepted by the residents of Palm Beach as acceptable and that they themselves would use from time to time. To me, those are the keys.
Very good, thank you. Ali Sewell, Jorge Busqueta, Mr. Bradford, thank you all very much for your work.